This crispy chicken is from a taco place.
This crispy chicken is from a taco place?
The taco place?
Taco place. It comes in a burrito, too?
From your taco place, it's also a chicken place that's also a taco place.
Check out the all-new Blue and Orange store at the Boise State Hall of Fame. The Blue and Orange store has your best game day gear. We're talking jerseys, hats, bumper stickers, car flags, more than 4,000 hats on the hat wall. If you want the best Boise State gear, make sure you check out the Blue and Orange store online at theblueandorangestore.com or the all-new Blue and Orange store down at the Boise State Allen Noble Hall of Fame.
It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. It's the best time to trade in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV with the room to haul your payload or playload. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
Bronco fans, the new Boise State trading cards are here, and you can only get them at Jacksons.
Start collecting them today.
Jacksons, let's go!
And final blade of grass. Done. And done. Who knew it'd take 2,007 man-hours to paint 47,962,053 blades of grass? Smells like game day. Whoa, it's not dry yet.
Oh, all right. Hey, everybody. Welcome on in to the Jacksons Postgame Show. I am Nathan Carroll here with Michael Callahan. Going to be recapping Boise State's 24-3 victory over Nevada. The Broncos wasn't pretty, wasn't sexy, not a lot of offense, but they get it done. They take down Nevada. Mike, start here. How you doing tonight, brother? How you feeling about the win?
You know, that after watching that game, that was about week 9 of a win, as I've seen in a while. that was a grinder. And for people that are defensive fans, they're going to be fired up. And people that are offensive fans, they're probably not too pumped up right now. And I get it. But end of the day, you just took a team that hates your guts. Reno hates Boise State's guts. He held them to 3 points. He beat them 24-3 on the road. It's a good night at the end of the day. But I know people are going to be a little in their feels about this one.
Yeah, and that was something I was kind of, for fans who read the preview, I was prefacing a little bit saying, guys, it's a rivalry game, Friday night, on the road. It's homecoming. They celebrated the 2010 team that beat Boise State on a Friday night in Reno. Jeff Choate, not a big fan of Boise State, applied for the job twice, didn't get it, went to the biggest rival Boise State has. Like, there's a lot of circumstances there that were going to lead to this one potentially not being quite the blowout that Boise State fans may have wanted or expected. But the Broncos get it done 24-3. The defense forces 4 turnovers when it was all said and done. Also had a turnover on special teams. The Broncos had 308 yards of offense. Nevada held to just 247 yards of offense. A positive note that we'll touch base on it a little bit. Just 2 penalties for the Broncos tonight compared to 10 for the Wolf Pack. And look, I know I've been on the BNN thread. I've been on Twitter. I know that there's a lot of takes about Maddox Madsen, his performance tonight. And needless to say, we'll get into that. We'll talk about the offense. We'll talk about Maddox and the passing game. But let's start with the defense, because anytime there is a win, I do want to start positive. Because as you know, Mike, it's hard to win football games on the road in college football. It's really dang hard. Florida State just went to Stanford and lost as a 17-point favorite. It's really tough to win on the road. And when there's positives, always want to hit on the positives. obviously the defense was a big win for this team tonight. What did you see out of the defense? What did you like from the defense tonight?
Dude, I'll start this off with the secondary has been a group that for the past 2 years has been criticized more than any group on the team, like hands down, no question about it. And to me, I mean, I get it. You know, they played Nevada. You know, their offense is what they are. But that was the most complete and well-rounded game the secondary's played in a very long time. 3 interceptions. Amarion got 1. Irby got 2. You know, those guys showed up to play. Ty Benefield is playing at an NFL level right now. I mean, he's absolutely going to be, you know, on draft boards coming, you know, up in the spring. I mean, that guy's playing out of his mind. And, you know, the guys that stepped in and made a difference today, you know, with Zion being out, you know, some of those guys like Derek Ganter and those guys, you know, that secondary is playing out of their mind right now. And I'm fired up for that group. And like we started off with, you know, this was a gritty win, no question about it. 24-3 on the road, and you know, at the end of October is definitely gritty. But yeah. I mean, dude, the defense played out of their minds. You can say what you want to about the opposition. You know, it was inferior opposition, but they did what they needed to do and more, in my opinion. And to me, you know, I'm fired up about how the defense played tonight, personally.
Yeah, hard not to be, right? You surrendered just 3 points. You know, Nevada ended up with 17 first downs, but just 247 yards, just 4.7 yards per play. And again, anytime you force 4 turnovers and you grab 2 sacks, you're going to feel pretty good about the performance. Yeah, I thought the defense was excellent. I thought the defensive line played really well. Jane Virgin Morgan was a monster tonight. Some of the stuff he was doing in run defense, like the gritty stuff that fans probably don't see. I thought he was exceptional there. I thought Braxton Feely was really, really good tonight. You know, he had a big game. Again, I can already see the comments. We'll be talking.
Yeah, they're coming in.
They're coming in. We'll be talking about him in a minute, guys. You know, we'll talk about the offense in a minute, but the defense deserves their props. And you talked about the secondary, man. Amarion McCoy opens the game with an interception. Jeremiah Irby grabs 2. Ty Benefield nearly had 1 as well. I mean, the secondary really did play at a high level, held Carter Jones to who, by the way, did you know Carter Jones is 18 years old?
That's what I heard from the broadcast a few different times.
I think they mentioned it once or twice. 16 to 29, just 144 yards, and then obviously the 3 interceptions. A lot of bright spots for the defense. You know, we put it in the preview before the UNLV game, even that this defense was starting to come around, starting to play at a really high level. And, you know, it's looking more and more like that USF performance was the anomaly. And this group is starting to play at a really high level. And really, I thought on all 3 levels tonight, they played well. Defensive line played well. The linebacker group, I thought the linebackers struggled a little bit earlier. Looked like Bowen Phelps and Marco Notriani were out of place and just late to get to the ball a couple times early in the game, but especially in the second half, really started to play early in the game. I thought they looked good, great. And then yeah, the secondary was excellent. What did you make? Obviously, Zion Washington out tonight, picked up an injury against UNLV. What did you make of Derek Ganter Jr.'s performance? Obviously, I know it's a safety. Sometimes they can have quiet games just due to the position. But his first start with the Broncos, what did you make out of Derek Ganter Jr. tonight?
I was impressed, personally. I mean, like I said, the secondary as a whole, you know, collectively, all 4 or 5 of those guys, depending on if you include the nickel or not in that, you know, I think that those guys all work together. And the fact that collectively they were able to do what they did tonight, that tells me, like you said, even though he might have had a quiet game, he definitely did his job at a high level. And I think that, you know, he's a guy that's definitely going to they're going to have to consider to get him more reps as the season goes on. And, you know, like I said at the beginning, you know, we are in week 9. So guys are getting beat up and injuries are starting to pile up. And this is just the type of games that you're going to see in the Mountain West and week 9, get into week 10 and the home stretch of the season. But having guys like Derek Ganter being able to step up and perform the way that he did tonight, I mean, that's huge for the defense. I mean, you need bodies at this point of the year because guys are definitely feeling it. You saw it throughout the game. Amarion definitely battling. I mean, There's no hiding that. Amarion is battling through something right now, and he's a warrior out there at the corner position. And, even with Mason, just going to the offense a little bit, Mason got banged up pretty good, and he came back in, and he played his tail off for the whole second half, and, super impressed with him. And, there's a lot of different guys around on both sides of the ball. I do want to get back to your point that you made a couple minutes ago on both Braxton and JV. I feel like those guys, it kind of gets easy to, they're always doing something at this point, but especially JV, the last 3 games, in my opinion, he's really turning a corner. The production and the stats might not be the same as what last year was, but in my opinion, whatever. I mean, he's playing at a very, very high level right now. Tonight was no different. And then Braxton's the best defensive tackle in the Mountain West Conference. I mean, there's really nobody else that's doing what he's doing right now on a week in and week out basis. Super impressed with those guys. Defense, you can't say enough about what the defense did tonight. I get it. They played Nevada, but they balled out tonight. I was so fired up for those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, there was a comment in here. Let me see if I can come back and find it. But look, Bronco Nation was very negative about the second early in the season. And look, I think justified, right? They weren't playing very well. Secondary is starting to play really, really well. And if that group gets going, I think the sky's the limit for what this defense can be. And if you get the offense clicking and the defense playing like they played tonight, like this is going to be a very, very good team. So continue to get your comments into the ICCU chat here on the Jacksons Postgame Show. I know typically we'll be at Uncle Bob's for these postgame shows, but with this game finishing at 11:30, I think they close at 11.
a little late for Uncle Bob's tonight.
Yeah. So look, I'm here in the storage closet on the opposite side of the house so that I don't wake the kids on the other side of the house. So we're making it work, and hopefully for this next road game we'll be able to be back at Uncle Bob's, who always does a great job hosting us. And hope some of you guys in the comments were able to get in there and enjoy some pizza, some mozzarella sticks. A lot of good stuff in there. So Boise State, like I said, 24-3 victory over UNR, over Nevada. Some comments in here. Just get the tackling down, and the defense will be insane. Yeah, tackling was an issue. I will say, I thought it got cleaned up at halftime.
Agreed.
I did think the first half it struggled, and then in the second half, for the most part, I thought they started to play a lot better. Let's go. I see all your comments about the quarterback. I promise we'll get to Maddox again. I want to start with the positive stuff, just because a win's a win, and that defense deserves to be talked about for the performance that they had today. One thing I wanted to talk about: Taco Bell turning point of the game. Our friends at Taco Bell, they do a great job. Definitely go get your $3 Chipotle Ranch grilled steak burrito, but turning point of the game was the special teams play for me. Oscar Doyle pins a punt down, bounces at the 1, bounces back, and I don't remember offhand who pushed the Nevada player into the ball, but essentially
looked like Mickey.
Was it Jaden Mickey?
I think it was Mickey.
Playmaker, man, always making plays.
Yep, just constantly around the ball.
Pushes his blocker into the ball. Boise State, after about 2.5 minutes of discussion from the referees, which I can't say I've ever seen before, they announced Boise State gets the ball. Broncos eventually, after 5 attempts, get the ball into the end zone right after that. That pushed the game to 17-3 at that point, I believe. What did you make of that play? I mean, I know in your career, I can't remember if you played any punt coverage, but you played a lot of special teams in your time as a Bronco. What do you make of that play? Is that something that the coaching staff is teaching? Like, hey, always be aware where the ball is. What did you make of that one?
I'm going to try my best not to, rag on Nevada too bad, but I mean, that was as teach tape as it could be of what not to do on punt return. I mean, very clear Peter situation, get away from the ball. They're pinning you. We're not going to catch it. Get as far away as possible. And, he sat on the ball. I mean, I know Mickey pushed him into it, but he literally sat on the ball. There were a few, and like I said, I really didn't want to come in here and just crush Nevada, but there were a few different times tonight where I just saw stuff from them that scratching my head, especially on, the offensive side of the ball with them. There was a few things that I didn't really understand what they were trying to get done, but, especially that play, that was tough. And that's deflating and huge momentum swing. I think you nailed it on the head. Definitely the momentum swing. I got another one that I kind of am I don't know. I felt it a little bit watching it. The shot on Malik Sherrod on the punt. That was complete BS. And I thought that definitely lit a fire under our team's butt. Personally, I mean, that's Bush League stuff. I mean, I don't care if it wasn't close in my eyes. Being on the field and being in that position, it wasn't close, and you get up and you celebrate like you just won the Super Bowl. I don't know, but to me, that would light a fire under me, and I know for a fact it lit a fire under them. So that might have been a little bit of a swing too, self-inflicted swing, but definitely think you nailed it there.
Yeah, I think that moment, because that came, I believe, just before halftime, and Boise State ended up not scoring from that. But I mean, in the second half, came out and played. I thought played with a lot more intensity, played with a lot more fight, and I can't say I've seen that. Which I get. You get the big hit and you're hyped coming out of it. But what shocked me is the flag comes flying in. He turns around and sees it, and
you're still celebrating it. Yeah, Bush League.
That to me, I'm never going to be one who's calling out dirty unless it's something obvious and clear. But to me, once you see the flag come in and you're still celebrating, a lot of fans took issue with that on social media, and
I took issue with it. I'm in. Yeah, I'm with the fans on that one. That terrible, the whole thing. Yeah.
Which I will say though, the ruling on is you have to give a yard, and I think that's where the penalty comes in. He did get the hit off on time or barely too soon, but never gave the yard, so the penalty probably fair. But to get the penalty and still celebrate,
that's what I'm getting at. The hit itself, you see the elbows come in, okay, I get it, bang bang, go. But you get up, you act like you won the Super Bowl, you see the flag, you just hurt your team, and you're celebrating, running up and down the sideline, I don't know.
Which I don't know. You've played Nevada before, right? You just when you're playing Nevada,
it's what it is. Yep, that's what it is with them. And last year there was a lot of different instances of that. Our kicker got knocked out unconscious on a touchback because they pulled a guy that just came in and blindsided him. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, it's a big game. They hate us. Like I said, beating them 24-3 is a big deal. They seriously hate us. And especially at home, I loved it. But we're gonna get to it. It was an ugly win, and a win is a win. I'm good. The way our defense played, we could have kicked 2 field goals and won the game. But I know what the expectations are, and we'll get there.
And look, I think we're in enough. We've gotten enough comments about it now. We can talk about it. I mean, defense was phenomenal. We've talked on it. We've hit on those guys. They played at a really high level. The offense, not so much. They scored 24. One of them, they started possession inside the 5-yard line. You're talking about just over 300 yards of offense, 4 yards per play. I mean, not good enough for the expectations Boise State has. And look, the run game, not very efficient. None of the running backs had at least 4 yards per carry. When you adjust for sacks, just 3.2 yards per carry. And on that side of things, look, I'll give tremendous credit to Nevada's front six. They played phenomenal, especially in the run game. I thought the linebackers did a phenomenal job. We came into this game knowing, hey, those defensive ends are 2 of the best in the Mountain West, if not really the country. I mean, those 2 guys played at a really high level, and they did a really good job on their run defense, and there just weren't a lot of open holes. And when there were open holes, Nevada did a really good job of tackling. That's where I give a lot of credit to Nevada. To me, it looked like part of the game plan was, hey, let's shut down the run at all costs, and let's make Maddox Madsen beat us. And, Maddox Madsen did not have a good game today. 15 of 28, 174 yards, an interception where he threw the ball into double coverage, triple coverage, and it's overthrown and gets picked off. What did you make of the offense's performance today? Which obviously not great, but what did you make of it?
Yeah, I'm I'm right there with you. The run game wasn't where, any of us want it to be, for sure, especially in the first half. I will say in the second half, things definitely swung a little bit more. There was a little bit more that, you want to see from them. There was definitely more physicality, but, credit, like you said, you got to give credit to Nevada here. Coach Ione, love Coach Ione over there, the defensive coordinator, and he had those guys ready to play, and they played just about as good of a game they could have played on defense, in my opinion. I mean, especially up front and especially in their front seven. They did a phenomenal job with their fits, their physicality, their tackling, the whole nine. I mean, they did a good job, and the whole, the identity of us is you have to win at the point of attack, and you have to, you got to out physical the other team. I felt like in the first half, I think that you can make an argument that Nevada was at times a more physical team, and in the second half, I do think that we were the more physical team, and that's why we came out on top. But, just speaking run game solely, I think that they're going to go back and they're going to watch the tape, and there's going to be a lot of meat that was on the bone that they're going to want to have back that they'll have ready to roll next Saturday. I think that that's definitely going to be, knowing the guys in there, that's going to be something they're going to harp on all week.
Yeah. And look, part of this is what Nevada has done this year. Obviously, they had the clunker against San Diego State. And look, San Diego State's got a very particular offense with the veer and shoot stuff that they run that some coaches who have seen it can do a really good job shutting it down. And some coaches who haven't quite figured out how they want to defend it yet or don't have the personnel to defend it, it can get really ugly really quickly. But, I mean, Nevada, they held Fresno State to, I believe, 24 points. They held New Mexico last week to 24 points. I mean, like, this is a good defense. It's a solid defense. Like, even against Penn State. I mean, look, now Penn State's obviously had their own issues this year. But Nevada's defense did a pretty good job against Penn State for most of that game. And it was a lot of it ended up being kind of short fields that led to Penn State winning that game by margin. But so that's where I give a tremendous amount of credit for. I think Nevada had a good game plan to stop the run game, and they really did. They slowed down Boise State's run game. Now, I'll say this, some of the yards per play stuff is going to be a little bit affected by the fact that Boise State was, I believe, 3 of 10 on runs inside of the 3-yard line today. Right? Just trouble punching the ball in, which, look, that's why they give you 4 downs, right? They did eventually punch it in, but I thought Nevada's front 6 played well. And again, when you're a Boise State fan, a lot of the conclusions you're going to draw are going to be about your team, right? They're going to say, Boise State fans will say, we looked like crap. The offense was bad. Like, this is on us. But credit where credit's due. I thought Nevada's defense did play well. Maddox struggled. A lot of missed throws tonight, some bad decisions tonight, and just one of those games where Boise State comes out with a win. There's a lot of positive, and once again, the fan base is going to be talking about the quarterback. And some saltier fans, and I don't say that in like they're salty about the result, but just more, kind of the meter fans. They've been in here saying that they're not Madsen guys, and I think after tonight they're going to be able to take a little bit of a victory lap. I did not think that he played well tonight. I know you played with him. He's your teammate. I'm not expecting you to throw him under the bus, but just kind of some general big picture thoughts on Maddox Madsen and his performance in particular tonight.
Yeah, I just something just seemed a little off in terms of the timing between the quarterback and the receivers, because there were times that the pressure wasn't there, that the throws weren't where they needed to be, and there were times where the pressure was there and he was rolling out and things seemed rushed. I mean, like you said, I'm not going to slam him. I love Mad Dog, but he'll be the first to say it. That wasn't his game to his standards by any means. And, to me, it just seems like there's something that needs to click between him and the receivers right now, that in some games it's there 100%. And there's other games where there's a few head scratchers like tonight. And that's tough. I mean, because the answer is not always super simple. So I'm right there with you. Love Mad Dog to death, but definitely not his best game to his standards by any means. You can see it right there on the stats, and you can see it on the film.
Yep. And look, I'll say this for the fans who want Max cut fourth and want Maddox benched. It's not going to happen this year, right? The quarterback conversation, if you're a believer of there should be a controversy, there needs to be this discussion there. That's going to be an offseason discussion, and whether they choose to bring in someone through the portal or have one of the young freshmen they're bringing in to compete. But for this team, for this year, Maddox is the guy. And, I think this offense, the focus is not going to be on how can we get Maddox out and get somebody else in here. It's going to be how can we start maximizing Maddox a little bit more tonight. And look, they did a lot of the things that he typically does well at. They got him in a lot of situations where it was play actions and boots. And I know there was a lot of talk about him rolling to his left. Nevada's defensive end, I believe it's pronounced Barbera. He's phenomenal. He lines up on Maddox's right more often than not. I think they wanted to roll away with him. He leads the nation in tackles for loss this year. I think they were trying to game plan around him a little bit. And look, it's a tougher throw for Maddox, no doubt about it. But, coaching staff's trying to, put him in a position to succeed. And it just didn't play out well tonight for Maddox. So I think, yeah, absolutely. When you're talking about the offense, Maddox didn't play well. I thought a lot of the receivers didn't play well. Chris Marshall had 2 bad drops and a couple other plays that just honestly looked like not great effort, just kind of giving up on plays but before they were done. I thought Chase Penry had a really nice game for the offense. Didn't have a huge role, but made a couple of big-time catches. Cam Bates, holy cow.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Talk about mossing a guy. That is in the defensive back's hands, and Cam Bates goes plucks it right out of his hands.
Yeah.
He had a big night. A lot of talk about Nate Potter as well. Some people defending him in the chat, some people criticizing him. Your mama saying he's got nothing to work with running backs, which I wouldn't totally agree with. But I thought Nate Potter tried some things tonight, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. Obviously they get down inside the 5 and they ran a lot of power. They went power, and didn't work very well. And finally, towards the end of the game, the running game did start, and the O-line did start to exert their will a little bit more. They did start to they did start to wear down that defense and started to run the ball fairly well. And this was something that I put in the preview, which if you're not already, go to BroncoNationNews.com, subscribe, read the previews. I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit. I put a lot of effort into these previews and it kind of knocked the ball out of the park tonight. Highlighted Jeremiah Irby, highlighted that they're going to try a trick play with Purdy. And one of the things I predicted, Nevada doesn't rotate their front a lot defensively. And so I think part of why they called the game the way they did is they said, all right, if you want to be out there for 40, 50 carries in a game and just let Cage Casey and Mason Randolph and Roger Carrion lean on you, and you're not going to rotate those guys. Let's see how much you're holding up at the end of the game. And Boise State essentially puts this game on ice with nearly 8.5 minute drive, 15 plays to get going into the end zone. So I do think some of that is some of the game, the play calling mechanics in this game was knowing we're going to do some stuff now that even if it's not working, it's going to set up something later in the game. And look, 24 points, not going to get it done in every game you play, but with the way the defense played, I did think that they got it done tonight. So we do have an interview coming with Jeremiah Irby here in a second. Just grab a couple of comments before we get there from the ICCU chat. Thought the play calls were good. Offense just didn't execute. And I'd agree. I thought execution was certainly an issue tonight.
I'm also there. Yep.
Comment about the Clydesdale package. Now, you're a former star of the Clydesdale package. I think they've just pivoted it to the Troy Grizzle package now, right? Letting him play fullback.
Yeah,
he got an assist. I think first assist of the season, pushing Maddox into the end zone on that QB sneak. So, some good comments. Continue to get your comments into the ICCU chat. We're going to hear from Jeremiah Irby, who star of the defense tonight, had 2 interceptions, played one of the best games of his career. B.J. Raines on site in Reno, caught up with Jeremiah Irby postgame.
Man, 2 picks for you. I think 4 takeaways for the team, whatever it was. I mean, how nice was that?
It was a special moment. I knew we coming in, we wanted to get 4 takeaways. We ended up getting 5. adding the one, the punt. We added that one. But I mean, coming in, it was our job is always to take the ball away, give it back to the offense, and it being a very defensive game, like those were huge momentum swings for us.
The second one in the end zone there for you. I mean, how nice was that to keep them out of the end zone?
It was special just because we had a couple of celebrations ready and everything like that I missed on the first one, which was funny, but it was big because we want to shut them out for the rest of the game.
Jeremy, when's the last time you had 2 picks in a game, man? How big is that? When you do this level, how big is that?
I mean, it's big, this level for sure. I mean, that puts you on the map and everything, and I mean, gets guys turning their heads and like, okay, like we gotta watch out for him, put him in the game plan and stuff like that. But yeah, last time I had 2 interceptions, probably high school. I don't remember, probably little Pop Warner and everything. But yeah,
they were your first 2 of the season. Was this kind of a long time coming?
Yeah, it was just me being patient, just trusting our technique. I mean, we go in there every day, work the same techniques. It wasn't nothing new that we did. We just continued just reps and reps and reps, and then I mean, me getting my head around, I was able to get those 2.
When you see on that first one, it looked like you were kind of tracking that one down for a while.
Yeah.
Kind of put yourself in the right position.
Yeah, that one was a little tricky. Like a lot of receivers, like coming over the shoulder, they'll tell you like that's a really hard ball to catch. That just brought me back, like I said, to my wide receiver days back in high school and everything else. And it was just coming over the top. It was crazy. Yeah, it was hard to track.
When the offense, maybe isn't putting up some of the points it has in some of the previous games. I mean, defensively, how much pride do you take that you can, do you hold up your end of the deal and help them out?
Yeah, as a defense, I mean, we love to see the offense scoring and everything, and I mean, we love the offense. We know Mad Dog gonna click on all cylinders any night that that happens. But I mean, as us as pride, like we come out there, we win a 3-0 every drive that we go out there. So I mean, we got a lot of nothing on the drive, so it gave up the 3 that we was kind of like whatever. But the second half, we ended up shutting them out, so we was pretty happy with that.
You're playing a freshman quarterback. Is that maybe something you expect to go in some error throws?
We wasn't really expecting a lot of error throws. We knew he got the ball out fast. Especially on a lot of out routes and stuff like that. Like he has a very quick release. So we was just kind of just ready for anything. We knew they was going to have a very, not like vanilla game plan, but just a lot of multiple different formations. We're going to see a lot of new stuff that we ain't practicing, everything. So yeah, that was kind of the game plan.
Yeah. The defense as a whole.
All right, there you have it. That is part of the interview with Jeremiah Irby post game. We will have the full interviews up on YouTube on Bronco Nation News at YouTube. So be sure when we're done here with our post-game show or in the morning when you wake up, head to YouTube, head to Bronco Nation News, check out the full interview with Jeremiah Irby. And I'll put my hat in the ring for him as Blue and Orange Store player of the game. Head down to the Blue and Orange Store, grab all your best Boise State gear. Jeremiah Irby, 2 interceptions. It maybe had 1 or 2 catches allowed that I can remember, but my goodness, what a performance. And this is a guy that, much maligned by the fan base, especially for some of his early season performances. And look, some of it warranted, some of it not. And this, even last year had a lot of criticism for some of the early game performances. And last year, after the first few games, started to play at a really high level. You look at some of the film against UNLV, against Penn State towards the end of last season. He's playing really high-level football. And we've seen a similar thing this season today. Big-time performance, kind of cashing in on this development that's been going on behind the scenes. Mike, when everyone wanted DeMario Warren fired after the USF game, you and I, at the Uncle Bob's Pizza post-game show, said, you believe in DeMario Warren. You believe that there's going to be development out of these corners. And you saw that tonight with Jeremiah Irby, 2 picks, Amarion McCoy with another pick as well. What did you make about Jeremiah Irby's performance tonight? But then as well, just him being a guy you've played with. You saw last year his mentality and his performance grow throughout the season. Talk a little bit about, kind of him as a person and as a football player behind the scenes that maybe some of the fans don't get to see.
Yeah, there's a few different angles I want to go at this with. I'll start with DeMario Warren. He's an incredibly detailed coach. He's getting these guys all the information they need. And you've really been able to see that over the past couple of weeks, in my opinion, starting from, yes. I think starting with App State. App State did a lot of quick game stuff, got the ball out quick, and those corners started this trend of them playing pretty good football there. They had a pretty tough challenge against Notre Dame, but since then, in my opinion, they've been playing at a very high level. And I think that's a credit to Demario Warren. Going to Jeremiah Irby, unbelievable game. I mean, that I don't know if it was the first or the second interception. It was the first. It was definitely the first. The one that he turned into the wide receiver, snapped his head around, caught over the shoulder to his right side. That's a very difficult catch for a wide receiver. The fact that he came down with that was unbelievable. I mean, best game of Irby's career, hands down. I do think that he's been playing a lot better football over the past couple weeks, and this has been trending in the right direction. But tonight was definitely unbelievable game from him. And, we talked about it, the secondary as a whole. I mean, the only thing to even talk, in my opinion, on the defense that we can get at tonight is the tackling, and outside of the which has to improve. I mean, at the end of the day, each week we've been talking about it. You can talk about it as much as you want. It just has to take place on the field. The tackling improves. This is already the best defense in our conference. I think that they showed that last week against UNLV, because UNLV has been, the second best offense statistically right there with us, and they shut them down for the most part. And I mean, if they can clean up the tackling, this defense could be nationally great. But just going back to Jeremiah Irby, unbelievable game.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I mean, Blue and Orange Store player of the game, I think, without a doubt. And look, there's been a lot of criticism of Demario Warren and where's the development. Last year, we did not see Boise State's corners making plays on a lot of those 50-50 balls, on a lot of chances where if you get your head around, you have a chance to get an interception. And you saw it tonight. And you've been seeing it all season. What a funny thing for CBS Sports to lead in for their keys of the game. This defense, this secondary forced, 11 turnovers. You've got CBS commentators after the second Jeremiah Irby interception saying this secondary special, emphatically special, right? Who would have predicted that 6 weeks ago? You get to this point, like there has been development there. And look, obviously being in media, I'm never going to call for a guy's job, but I think without a doubt, you've seen improvement there. You've seen development there. So clearly something that's been going on in practice, it's starting to click with these guys. They're starting to play at a really high level.
I don't want to get off topic. It's still similar topic, but I saw a comment from Tequila Gus that is definitely something I want to talk about. Yep, right there. Absolute game changer since Chins has gone down to the sideline. That started at App State. He's been down there for a little over a month. Having your DC on the field with you, being in the fight with you, and seeing things on the same level that you're seeing things, game changing. And a lot, majority of coordinators, both offense and defense around the country, both at the college football level and the NFL level, it's a lot easier on them. And I don't want to say easier. It's a lot better in terms of what you're able to see from up there. You can see the whole picture. You're not, on the field level and stuff, but having him on the field in there with these guys and having the ability to make the adjustments on the sidelines with the tablets and being able to get them exactly in the position that you want them against certain looks. I mean, unbelievable difference. And I can see why, Chins was my position coach in 2023. He was also my position coach last year when he first took over the defensive coordinator, duties for us. But when he was on the field with us in 2023, that was the year that it started clicking for a lot of guys across the board. Just seeing the big picture in a different way, having him down there. I think bringing him down there too, unbelievable difference. So I love that point from Tequila Gus right there.
Yeah, and I want to get to this comment from Fettuccini, which, by the way, I want you to clarify, is this like feta cheese and Cheney, the city in Eastern Washington, or is this a play on the box?
There we go.
But why be up in the box? I know, and I'm sure you can comment on this as well. I know Chenander talked a little bit about part of why you go up into the box is you just have a better time seeing schematically what's going well, what's not. And one of the big things that he talked about was when you're up in the box, you can see personnel better. And he said that was kind of the biggest adjustment is now he's having to have the analysts up in the box call down personnel stuff to him. But, when you're down on the field, you can help with some of the effort mentality, some of the stuff Boise struggled with early. But talk more about kind of what you've seen of why go to the box, what's the advantages there,
and getting on what Chin said. I mean, having you have to have good analysts up in the box if you're going to be able to make that work, because that is a huge deal. Not being able to see the personnel, at all times. Whether it's 11P, 12P, 10P, whatever we're getting to in that, different looks, different situations, having dialed analysts that know what the game plan is to a T and experienced guys up there to be able to make those call outs to Chins, on a snap, because things happen quick, like there's about 20 seconds in between each play on a given average, things are happening quick. So having that quick information relayed down to him to be able to make the right decision, he wouldn't be able to get down there if it wasn't for those guys up there. So huge credit to those guys. They're crushing it across the board. But I think just getting back to that personnel thing, I think it's all preference with these coordinators being up in the box. It's hard to, especially for a guy that's, been a coordinator for, 15, 20 years, has been in the box the whole time. It's really hard to make that adjustment coming down the field. So I think that's why you see so many guys in the box, but it's definitely been a huge difference for our defense, in my opinion, having that, voice down there to tell you what he needs from you on a given play, and having, really just seeing that he's not going to ask you to do something that he wouldn't do. Yeah. The fact that he's in the fight with you, I think that's been a huge difference.
Yeah, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, but someone asked him at a press conference if he had a preference, and he just said, it's just different. There's strengths and weaknesses to both, and felt that this team needed to have him down there, and that was, I believe, a conversation that Spencer had with him, and he said it's working, it's going well. By the way, Fettuccini says it's a play on his last name.
There we go.
He's fat next.
There we go. I love it.
So the mystery answered there. So I did want to get to one comment, or I guess a combination of comments here, because something I see a lot is a lot of people talk about, fans see what Spencer Danielson talks about in a press conference, the way he presents himself in a post game, right? And Mr. C talks about, Danielson needs to develop an edge that seems to be missing, and we do have a comment from Maui that I kind of like, hey, it sounds like he probably talks nice to the media, but probably has a little bit more of an edge behind the scenes. You played for him. I mean, is behind the scenes, is Coach D, is Spencer, is he just all soft and fluffy all the time, or is he, hey, to the media, I'm going to defend my guys, I'm going to give the media answers, and behind the scenes, I'm going to tell you, hey, you need to be better?
Yeah, I mean, like I've seen those comments for the past, year and a half since he took over. Yeah, no, he was my absolutely not even kind of. He's not just, soft on these guys. He was my position coach for the first 2 years I was in college, and we did not get along very well. I'll tell you what, he has ripped me more than pretty much any other coach I've ever had in my life. And I've had some hard coaches. So I promise you, he is not afraid to get into these guys when he has to. And, he will, the way he presents himself and he carries himself is who he is as a person. But no, I'm not going into detail. I can guarantee it. He will get on guys.
Yeah, and it's something that, I think in the media we've said it, and I think people kind of take it with a grain of salt because we're not in it. But look, at practices, he's ripping guys. He's going to tell a guy. I mean, look, it's not Brian Harsin where he's, just straight up cussing guys out or being mean. Like he still is more of a player's coach than other coaches that you're around. But with that said, he's still getting on guys, right? Mm-hmm. When he says to the media, hey, there's no one I'd rather ride with than Maddox Madsen. There's no other quarterback I'd rather have. That doesn't mean he's behind the scenes saying, hey, Maddox, you played the best game of your life. Keep doing it. No, he's getting on Maddox. He's telling him he needs to be better. So, So I think it was important to get your thoughts on that, as someone who played under Coach Danielson. And
I'm glad I could get that off my chest because, like I said, I've been seeing that for a year and a half. And, for the people that are on here right now, he will get on you. 100% he's getting on these guys. He'll get on the ones that need it. And even the ones that stepped up big time this week and had huge games, he's going to get on them too. Doesn't matter. Next week's a big game at home, Fresno. That's going to be a pretty intense environment in the building this week. They're going to be ready to roll.
Well, and I've had a lot more limited time with him in practices than you have, obviously. One thing I've noticed, I think he does a really good job with kind of behind the scenes is responding to guys in the way that they need to be responded to, right?
Yeah.
You can tell there's some guys he's really hard on, and you can tell they respond to that. And there's guys who he probably is a little bit more of a pick-me-up coach with, and that's probably how they just respond to it, right? Not, for you parents out there, you get it. Not every kid's the same, right? You can't go hard on all your kids because one of them might need a little bit of love, might need a pat on the butt. I don't know. Is that something that being around him, he was your former position coach, have you seen that as well, or am I?
100%. Yeah. I think that's honestly he's got a lot of very big strengths. I think that might be, it's up there with one of his biggest ones is his ability to like personalize the way that he's going to coach. And it started in a position room, then it turned into the whole defense. He was able to identify the way that each guy on the defense needed to be coached. And now it's a whole team. I truly believe that he has a unique ability to adapt how he's approaching different situations with different guys to get the best out of them. So I think what you see is exactly what it is. I think behind the scenes, it might be a little more intense at times when it needs to be. And at the same time, he's going to love you up. And the only way that works is by building that trust and that relationship, which he does an outstanding job of at the start. And then at that point, he buys in with the trust between the player to coach. And that's when you can see the special stuff happen.
Yeah, and I'll put it this way, right? Mike, do you have brothers?
Nope.
Okay.
But I got about a ton of them that I play with.
Yeah.
As corny as that is.
I'll put it this way. I got a younger brother, right? At home, me and my brother would go at it. We'd fight. We'd tell each other, you're dumb, you're stupid, I hate you. But when we go to school together and all of a sudden, somebody's bad mouthing him at school, like I'm going to be there and stand up for him, right? Spencer Danielson behind the scenes, it's different. He's not their brother because he's their coach, but you'll rib your brother behind the scenes and you'll tell him what you really think. But then when you get out into the public, right, that's your brother at the end of the day. So you're going to stand up, you're going to love that brother. And I hate to say it, Spencer Danielson loves his guys. He loves his team more than he loves us at the media. He's gonna treat
100%. No question.
more than he treats the media. We did have some comments. I think we'd be a little remiss not to talk about it. Obviously Doug Martin passed away last week. Very tragic for obviously him and his family, but really the entire Boise State fan base. Doug was a big part of the community, big part of some really great Boise State teams. So we don't need to necessarily linger on it, but obviously, prayers go out to Doug and Doug's family and all those who played with him. I know guys who are on that 2010 team, and there's a few guys now who have passed from that team, and they take it hard, like you said. Those are brothers to you, and so definitely prayers up and hope that they can find some peace. And just an unimaginably hard thing to go through, right? Just 36 years old, I believe. Really, really tough. But so prayers up for Doug's family, and our thoughts are with them in this time. But did want to acknowledge that there were a lot of comments. I did see Nevada did a pretty cool thing and did a moment of silence, not just for Doug, but there's 3 members of that 2010 team who have passed away, as well as a Nevada coach who has passed away, who played in that 2010 game in Nevada. So they did a moment of silence and honored their memories and their legacies, and props to them. Like Tequila Gus said, despise them, but props to them. That was a classic.
That was big.
Well done on Nevada's part. So I did want to talk to you about Boise State coming off. You're just joining us, 24-3 win. If you haven't seen it, anything yet. Defense played phenomenal. Offense, some struggles. We will have more interviews coming. I believe the game plan is finish up these interviews, and then BJ is going to try to run back and get to the post-game show with us. If we start going too long, we may end early, but we will have more coverage of those interviews on YouTube available as soon as those interviews are done and ready to post. I did want to get your thoughts, though, on Mike. Boise State's played Nevada more than any other opponent in program history. It's put out a Twitter poll. Fresno got voted the biggest rival by the fans, but Nevada's up there without a doubt. You've played in this game. It's the last time it's on the schedule right now. talk about this rivalry, what it means from a Boise State perspective, what it means from a Nevada perspective. And is it a rivalry that you would like to see them try to continue in the future, do it annually, or is it one that you're like, leave it in the past, like we're moving on to bigger and better things?
I think with that, it's definitely a case by case, depending on who you ask, that's been associated with this rivalry. The guys from, that 2007 to, about 2012 run, those guys absolutely would say, got to play them every single year. We need to beat up on them every time we get a chance. Mm-hmm. I'm also in the thinking, just because I understand the history of it. The experience that I had playing them, playing them in 2021, that hurt. That crushed me to a core, that I am also in that thinking of, I wouldn't mind seeing a Reno game scheduled on I don't want to say yearly, but it's just tough because you only have a finite amount. To me personally, just off of my experience, I want BYU, but if I had to choose between Reno and BYU to have an annual game with, I would go BYU. But I also am, if they schedule Reno every single year, I'd be fired up about it.
Yeah,
absolutely, because I beat them twice, lost to them once. Don't get me wrong, wins are great, but I feel a lot worse about that one loss.
The loss stings more than the choice to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always a super chippy game. Like you saw tonight, there's a lot of stuff on their end that pisses you off to the core. And then there's probably some stuff on our end that pissed them off to the core too. The fact that we held them to 3 points at home. And they probably want more shots at us. So I do think that it would be a good rivalry to keep up, especially as they continue to invest into their program, because I do think that they are improving on that front. I know that it's not there right now, but as long as they keep investing in the program, I think that I would imagine that we could revitalize this rivalry going forward. But it's a tough thing with scheduling. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's now that you're kind of moving into the stage where you almost have this 2-tiered West Coast conference of like Pac-12 being a step ahead of the Mountain West. Like, are they going to take trips to Reno, right? Or do they expect a 1-for-1, or will they do a 2-for-1?
Yeah, and that's the hard part, because and it kind of depends, because we'll see where we're at in like 5 years. Because at this point, because there's some games on the schedule that we have with our non-con schedule that we're going places that aren't necessarily desirable, that I would say are probably less desirable than going and playing Reno. So,
like Kalamazoo, Michigan next year.
Exactly. Yeah, I would probably rather play in Reno than go to Kalamazoo, Michigan, where we have no ties whatsoever as a program. Where with Reno, you have a ton of history, and a lot of guys feel a certain type of way about that program on both sides of the rivalry. I know it's been kind of, just in terms of the Mountain West scheduling, we haven't seen them that much in recent years, but I think that it's something that means enough that there should be somewhat of an effort to keep that going. But we do need to get BYU back on the schedule. We need to play them every single year.
That's the one to me. Like when I was
we have to get them back. I was so upset that we didn't get to play them anymore.
Yeah, and I think part of what makes BYU so fun is one of the hard things about being in Boise is you are a little secluded from the other fan bases, right? Like we don't see a lot of San Diego State fans in Boise, right?
Right.
They're 900 miles away, probably, if not further. Don't quote me on that at all. I've got no clue. But
far enough.
There's a lot of BYU fans in Boise.
Tons.
So that's a rivalry that not only is it fairly close in proximity, but it's, I've got 3 buddies who are diehard BYU fans. Like it's in and around my circle, which, there's a lot of Reno fans in Boise. It's probably second most behind BYU in that sense. And, in that sense could be good to keep the rivalry. The comments are split up. Grand Teton wants it. Skyship, not so much.
Exactly.
Bury the rivalry.
It's a case by case thing, right? Like some people think it'd be awesome. That's kind of where, I don't know. Like the people that I talk to, it's hit or miss. Some people think the rivalry is dwindling. Some people are like, let's go. Like we need Reno on the schedule every year. That is what every single person that I talk to wants to play BYU.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we aren't is a big bummer. I think that they at BYU feel the same way.
Yes.
I think that that's something that's got to come back at some point in the near future.
Yeah, and I think that's one that it's just the circumstances of realignment. You go from having 12 open games a year to 3. And
right.
They had some that they needed to, just had some games that they needed to cancel. And Boise State was one that I think at the time the series officially was ended, and, they had other games, but it'd be one that I'd imagine they try to get going again in the future at some point. But hey, we do have an interview from Spencer Danielson here. I don't know if it's just the full interview, if it's just going to be part of the interview, but interview here from Spencer Danielson getting his thoughts on Boise State's 24-3 win over Nevada tonight.
Appreciate you guys' time always. Thanks for making the trip down to Reno. But first and foremost, always, man, thank you, Jesus, for the victory, man. I talked to our players a lot about 1 Timothy 1:7. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And we need all bit of that, because especially on the road, short week, and things don't go your way, some of those anxiety, those fear thoughts creep in, or what's going to happen. It's like, it's always the next play, man. Always the next play. And this was a hard-fought team win on the road, and I'm proud of our guys. And we put a premium on team is always greater than me. And I'm always looking, because that's hard to do. The championship teams find a way to make it all about the team. And we're working to continue to grow that. That locker room is filled with guys that are about the team, and I'm proud of them doing that. Second half, I think that shows. Right, shut out by our defense. Our offense, not perfect, but finding a way to have long drives, capitalize on touchdowns, and come out with a big-time victory on the road. So proud of all 3 phases, find a way, proud of that locker room and how much they love each other and find a way to battle, and we need to continue to grow.
It's kind of a weird game offensively. You got downside the 5 a couple times. We're struggling to get it in there, and then Maddox missed some throws. What can you say about the defense kind of picking up the offense tonight?
Yeah, tonight, offensively, we found a way to win. We scored. We needed every single one of those points, and finding a way to improve and even get better in the fourth quarter. I don't know how long some of our offensive drives were late, but we had a couple long ones that can just wear them out. First down, 2nd and 6, 3rd and 1, first down. You can wear a defense. Now we got to be more explosive, and we missed some explosives tonight, and that could be Maddox, could be on the offensive line, could be on schematic adjustments that we didn't make offensively. There's gonna be a lot of things we got to look at, but I'm proud of our offense finding a way to get it done to win. But our defense played really well tonight, man. There's gonna be some tackles and some missed 3rd downs that we're all gonna look at and clean up. But I'm proud of them being relentless. Proud of them finding a way to take the ball away. We've had a lot of conversations about past defense in the past months. Jeremiah Irby, 2 interceptions. Amari McCoy, interception. They're finding a way. And our coaches, all they do is coach and pour into these kids, and they're playing good. Are we perfect? No. But we're growing, and that's what we need to continue to do. So I'm proud of our defense. Huge shutout in the second half. If you take those turnovers off the board, or let's say defense gives up some touchdowns here and there, it's a whole different football game. So that's a good team win.
What's it mean for Jeremiah to reap the benefits of seeing some? It was a big deal to him that he was able to get a couple picks tonight.
It's huge, man. You talk about a young man that practices his tail off, banged up, senior. He played really good last week too, and that's, I think, sometimes, especially playing DB, you can play really good and no one knows you did because no one threw the ball to your guy because it was covered the whole game. Jeremiah's been playing some good football, and for him to get those 2 interceptions, big time plays, he deserves the credit because of the work he's put in.
They're both big, but the second one, it's still.
Oh, all right. So you got some short words there from Spencer Danielson. We will have the full interview with Spencer Danielson up on YouTube at Bronco Nation News after we are done here on the postgame show. Just some initial thoughts. Talked about, offense needs to be better, needs to be more explosive, but did acknowledge, look, the goal here is we want to wear them down, right? And to his credit, they did that at the end of the game. Like I said, when you have a 15-play, 8.5-minute drive to score a touchdown to make it 24-3, that's exactly wearing down a team, wearing down a defense. And, in that sense, I think they certainly exerted their will on Nevada towards the end of the game. I'm going to make a slight correction on him. He said he talked about 1 Timothy 1:7. That is 2 Timothy 1:7. I only know that because that's a verse at church that right now they got my little kid memorizing every single day. So I hear it every single day after practice. So I got you there on that one, Spencer. So, but But Michael, what did you,
it's dangerous.
Every single night, man. Every single night, every time we come home from church, I hear from my 3-year-old. But Mike, what did you make there from Spencer Danielson's comments there?
I think you kind of hammered it a little bit, but I mean, that last drive at the end of the game, I don't know how much we've talked about it so far, but you can't say enough. I mean, I know you can say what you want to about the offense all night, the play calling, the whole nine. That when you're running for 2 to 3 yards in the first quarter and you're not too fired up about the run game, that's the end goal of any offense that's trying to establish the run. You're trying to get it to a point that at the end of the game, you can lean on a defense like they did and grind out the rest of the game. And I don't think that there's a more impressive drive in football, in my opinion, just being a front guy. I mean, I love seeing those grinders at the end of the game. I know some people get bored to death by them, but, that's just imposing your will, guys getting after it. It's late in the game. It's late at night, and you are just grinding them down to a pulp, imposing your will to end the game. And I think that at the end of the day, you can say what you want to about the offense, but they had that tonight. That's going to lead some momentum going into the next week against Fresno.
Yeah, well, and let's hear from one of the guys who did a lot of that grinding down. I know you've talked about in practice when Sire Gaines gives you a pop, you feel it, right? Like that wears the body down. Sire Gaines, believe led the way for the Broncos tonight, had 17 carries, 62 yards, had one of the touchdowns. Let's hear from a short clip from Sire Gaines in postgame. All right, maybe not. I know we're having some tech issues. I'm sure the Wi-Fi stadium isn't ideal, but hey, just head to the YouTube channel. We will have the full Sire Gaines as well as interviews with Jeremiah Irby and Spencer Danielson up on YouTube shortly after this. So be sure to subscribe on YouTube, check it out. And if you haven't already, go to BroncoNationNews.com, part of the 24/7 Sports family. We'll have coverage from myself, from B.J. Rains, from Chris Van Sickle. Mike Prater has been putting out columns. I know he just put one out talking about Maddox Madsen and the quarterbacks a couple weeks ago, and then I believe had one talking about some of the rivalry games, like talking about, hey, we should be playing Nevada every year. It's a better trip. It's a local game. Why are they traveling to Western Michigan? So, all right, we're going to give Sire Gaines another go here. See if we can get it to play. So let's hear, hopefully this time from Sire Gaines and his thoughts on the 24-3 victory for Boise State.
Overall, but I'm sure you guys will take a 21-point win. To be able to win in a game where, like I said, wasn't the prettiest, but what does that do for you guys?
A win's a win. We come to in this game willing to dominate and just win at the end of the day. Do what you got to do to win. Bring them dub home back to Boise.
What did Coach Danielson tell you about Nevada in this rivalry? What did you hear about this place before coming?
He told us, don't fall into the trap. You can't sleep on teams just because of their schedule or just because of their record. You got to take every opponent game by game, week by week, and, play your best football all the time.
So, just with that being said, it's a 7-point game at halftime. You guys are struggles on the road already this season. I guess, what do you think it is with this team and going on the road? Is it anything? Is it just a tough atmosphere?
This team on the road, we just got to come together. When things get hard, things get tight, just come together. At the end of the day, we're going to lean on each other to the left, to the right, and just go out there and play football. Like we said, we haven't played our best football on the road, but at the end of the day, we're winning, so that's all that matters.
What did you see offensively tonight? I mean, especially down there in the 5, it was a struggle to try to get that thing across the goal line.
I take full responsibility in that because at the end of the day, that's one-on-one football. At the end of the day, that's downhill football. So I take responsibility of that and, just looking to get better because at the end of the day, I love growing. I love getting better. So whatever I can do to improve so that 5-yard run could be a touchdown on the first goal, then that's what it is.
It's a 3-3 game late until the first half, and you guys go on that 94-yard drive to really put it in and get the first touchdown of the game. Just how much did that do for you guys to really start getting the yardage there and get the ball over the end zone?
Just opposing our will. Coach came to us, said play by play, one play at a time, and that's what we did. We just impose our will and just go down there and score. Gotta make something happen. Our defense played phenomenal tonight. Our defense is great, and offense got to respond. So coach said one play by play, and went out there and did just that.
So kind of along that lines, I mean, there's been times this season where you've gotten more carries, or Dylan's gotten more carries, or whatever. But in the first half, as you guys were trying to get the ground game going and maybe impose your will, they turned to you. So I don't know how much pride did you kind of take in those opportunities and to try to get it going?
No pride. At the end of the day, when you're on that field, you got to do what you got to do for this team. Like, I don't care about the individual stats. I don't care about the touchdowns myself. I care about helping this team win. So if coach say start the drive to go score, that's what it is. Dylan, go start the drive, go score, that's what it is. At the end of the day, we care about winning. It doesn't matter who's in the game, like I've been telling you. At the end of the day, whoever's in the game, coach trusts us to go in there and execute.
So I know it was kind of a frustrating start for offense. When Maddox calls the offense over, the team over, and just kind of rallied the troops, I mean, what do you see out of that, and what was the turning point, you think, tonight for offense?
That's our leader. We all gonna always follow behind Mad Dog, right or wrong. That's our leader regardless. So when he brings us together, that's everybody gotta check themselves. Look in the mirror first, check yourself, and then, hold each other accountable. Effort, question this should never be questionable. And at the end of the day, when Mad Dog brings us together, we got to go out there and punish.
All right, there you have it. Sire Gaines, some post-game comments. Again, full interview with Sire Gaines, full interview with Jeremiah Irby, full interview with Spencer Danielson will be up on the BNN YouTube channel after this. So if you want to see all that, go check it out. We will have BJ coming on in just a little bit. He'll be joining us, giving some of his thoughts. I know it sounds like he's almost back up to the box after getting interviews. So one comment that did get cut, or that didn't make that part of the interview that BJ sent over, that he said that was interesting. He said pretty definitively, Sire said, we're the best team in this conference. And Fred said that he's not afraid to say it. Mike, you watch a lot of football, and what do you think? Is this from what you've seen, is this the best team in the conference right now? Would you go San Diego State at this point, or how confident are you feeling in Boise State right now?
No, I'm going Boise State. I mean, obviously, I don't want to. Sorry, I don't want to be a homer. Like, I know that, obviously, I'm going to say Boise State, but seriously, just watching the film, seeing UNLV coming into that game last week. Yes, they were 6-0. They had a lot of flaws. And those flaws got exposed. And to me, that was the second best team in the conference. That got exposed. Now, San Diego State, in my mind, is the second best team in the conference. I do think that they're right there with UNLV. I think that they're doing an outstanding job. I think Sean Lewis has done a great job of turning that program around. But from a talent level, the Mountain West as a whole, I'm not afraid to say it. The Mountain West it's kind of not
down. Yeah, talent-wise, it's not there. It's totally fair. Totally fair.
So, yeah, and I'm not discrediting these guys, because I do think that Reno's defense was pretty solid tonight, and you'll see other people around the conference doing some things here and there, but yeah, I think it's Boise, UNLV, and San Diego State, and I think that we separated ourselves last week. This week was a gritty win. We're in week 9 on a short week. I think that those are the kind of games that you can expect. I think next week is you have 8 days to prep for it, and you'll have time to actually get healthy. I think that this team is banged up. They haven't had a bye since week 3. They had an early bye. They have the late bye for the next one, and they'll be rested going into San Diego State. But no, I do think that Boise State's the best team in the conference. I don't know if they are until proven otherwise, and so far I haven't seen anything to prove that otherwise in our conference.
Yeah, my power ratings agree. They've got Boise State number 1. I know FBI's got Boise State number 1. I know that SP Plus is Boise State number 1. Look, my numbers have been pretty close to where these lines have ended up being. Right now, they've got Boise as, I think, a 3-point favorite when they go to San Diego, right? So,
yeah,
Boise
it's going to be a
State,
tough game. I'm not trying to say that game's going to be some, otherworldly blowout. It could be, we do what we did against UNLV, but that's going to be a tough game. it's a good team. UNLV was a good team. We just executed a lot better than they did. It's going to come down to execution against those guys. The same thing as UNLV. So
yeah,
but
I think on paper, I don't think you're being a homer saying it. I think Sire Gaines saying it. I don't think it's necessarily out of line, but
no, me either.
We do have the man, the myth, the legend himself, B.J. Raines. I mean, this guy going to Mountain West Media Days, flying from Vegas to Reno to cover the game. I'm sure on a short night of sleep, busting out articles. B.J., hey, welcome on into your post-game show with the with the Jacksons Postgame Show.
I appreciate it, guys. You did a great job, and I'll let you guys roll and Kanan roll. And I guess if you want to give any final thoughts, I will say this: Maddox Madsen, as you know, Michael, you dealt with a lot of stuff that never gets out publicly in terms of health and things like that. Spencer alluded to some stuff with Maddox going on, I guess, in just terms of being a very tough guy out there. So it's very easy to look at his line and say he didn't play particularly great tonight. But when you hear the full Spencer Danielson clip that's going to be on YouTube shortly, he said he's battling through some stuff. He's banged up and beat up, and he's got braces and things all over his body. So I would just throw out maybe some of the negative Maddox Madsen talk should be tamed down a little bit, because apparently he also brought the offense together and had a huge pep talk, I guess, at one point when it was not going great to help them score a couple of touchdowns. So I'm sure he talked about it, but Michael, I know Maddox in particular is a tough guy, and maybe folks should know that there's more stuff going on before they question some of his plays and things.
Thanks for saying that, because I didn't, and I've just been eating that all night, and I won't elaborate any further. But tough dude, tough as nails. Playing a lot.
No comment on this, but I think you can. Yeah, there's obviously earlier in the season had some things that were going on, and you could take it the other way too, where you're like, well, if he's banged up, should he be playing? That's what fans will probably say, whatever. But obviously, he's their best option right now and doing the best he can. I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. And didn't play perfect, missed some throws for sure. Did you guys talk about Chris Marshall? Did he get benched later in the game for some of those drops, or it didn't seem like he played a lot later in the game? I don't know if you guys talked about Chris Marshall at all.
I think after the drops, he came back into the game.
Okay.
I know that. I was looking for that. I did see someone in the comments say that it sounded like he was pretty fired up heading to the locker room. I mean, I know that, the way Nevada Stadium is built, you got to kind of walk next to the Nevada fans heading back to the locker room. Right? So yes. I don't know, but a couple people were saying that he was kind of fired up heading to the locker room, and then But yeah, I don't think he was benched after the drops. I don't know if I saw him on the very last drive of the game, but yeah, we talked about he struggled. I mean, two drops. There was a couple plays that, would be curious to see what the coaching staff's effort level assessment on it was. Just it looked like was maybe giving up on plays a little early. And, when he's been really amazing, he's been amazing. And then you have nights like tonight where the consistency wasn't there. And, that's what Spencer Danielson said all offseason was the big thing with him was just building consistency, stacking.
Any final thoughts from you guys? I'll take over for a little bit longer. I appreciate you guys giving up your evening tonight. It's 12:36 back in Boise. So, Kanan, you can take off, man. I'll go from here. And, Michael, I guess any final thoughts? I mean, winning's hard. It's not always easy. You'd like to have the style points, but a road Mountain West win is never easy. And sometimes you got to just, I don't even know if win ugly is the right word. I mean, the defense played amazing. 5 takeaways, whatever it was. But, I mean, certainly offensively it wasn't great. But you were part of a lot of these games where you just win and move on to next week.
I'm going to get to that. Like week 9 defensively for this point of the year, couldn't be more fired up with how these guys played. I mean, they battled, and one of the more impressive defensive showings I've seen in the past couple of years in general, and the fact that it's week 9, like we were just talking about, on a short week without a bye for a while, a lot of banged up dudes around there flying around. Super impressed, super fired up for this team. We haven't seen their best football by a long shot, and that's coming this year. And I know that we're running out of games, and it is right around the corner. They're there. They're scratching the surface. It's right there.
Well, Mike, appreciate you for why didn't you want to go out tonight? Why did you agree to do this?
I like watching the games from home. I have a rule. I'll tell you this. I had a rule in my house. When I watch the games at home, if the game's going well, I watch it from the living room. And the second the things start to go a little south, I go downstairs. I was in the living room all night tonight. And that was a big thing. That was a big thing in my house. So
there you go.
Leave it there.
And I appreciate both of you guys. Did you have any final thoughts, Nathan?
Yeah, it's hard to win on the road in college football, and we talked a little about it. This was Nevada's Super Bowl between the 2010 team honoring and homecoming and a fright. Like, if ever there was a game that you could get picked off, this was it. And Boise State won by 3 touchdowns, and game was never really in doubt. Like, Nevada never had the ball with a chance to take the lead in the second half. Like, Boise State did ultimately control the game. It's really hard to win on their own college football, and when you do it, you do it. And I thought they took care of business today. So, but how about Mike, man? One, does a great job, but 7 games into his career as a fan, he's already got superstitions forming. This guy,
it sucks.
He really is one of us now. Huh?
Well, appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot for doing this, and I'll keep it going for a little bit longer and give some more of my thoughts and then get out of here. But appreciate you guys, and we'll do it again soon.
Thanks, BJ.
There they are, Nathan, Carroll, Michael Callahan. We appreciate them for jumping on the Jacksons Postgame Show. I am up here in the coaches box, the visiting coaches box, where Nate Potter schemed up some of those plays, and the coaches hung out up here. So we're at 1 hour and 15 minutes, and it's 12:40 back in Boise. But if you guys want to keep this going a little bit longer, I am happy to do that. And I know a lot of the folks will be watching this on Saturday or on Sunday as well. So I'll give some of my thoughts and take some more of your comments if you'd like. But again, wasn't a pretty game, wasn't a great game, but Boise State did enough to win. And winning on the road is not easy. And they were supposed to win in Vegas by 21, and they won by 21. I mean, it's pretty crazy and remarkable how much Vegas gets that stuff. But in the end, hey, I thought Boise State did what they needed to do tonight. Style points would be nice, but you don't really need style points at this point. You just got to win games and let the things happen. So was it the big win that San Diego State had here a couple weeks ago, where they were up 35-0 at halftime? I think no, I don't think so. But they won. Defense played great. I mean, that's what's super encouraging. We've seen this offense put up a lot of yards and a lot of points. This offense has the ability to score, has the ability to move the ball. So offensively, did they play great tonight? No, they didn't. Maddox missed some throws. Running game struggled at times, and they got down inside the 5-yard line like 9 plays and couldn't score, I think, except for 2 of them, and one was 4th down. And they got lucky on the offsides, or they wouldn't have scored there at 4th and goal from the 1 when Sire got stopped. So it wasn't pretty. Offensively, they certainly have some areas to clean up. But I think that the encouraging thing is the defense. I mean, we were talking about DeMario Warren needing to get fired a couple weeks ago, according to a lot of people here. We were talking about the secondary and the pass defense all being so bad, and we're not talking about that right now. Marion McCoy, 4 interceptions in the last 5 games. Jeremiah Irby, 2 picks tonight. That second one, I mean, the first one was super impressive with what he did. The second one in the end zone took away a touchdown, kept them off the board. I mean, that was a massive play in this game. And suddenly we're not talking about the pass defense, and we're not talking about the corners or DeMario Warren. So I think if you're looking for encouraging signs moving forward, certainly what you're getting from this secondary and this defense, I think is super, super good to see. So I think if you're, it's an encouraging sign. The defense stepped up today. The offense wasn't great, but the defense said, we got this. 5 takeaways, I think it ends up with when you count the muffed punt, which I think is a takeaway. The interceptions and what they were doing. I mean, it was the defense deserves a lot of credit tonight. Eric Chenander, I mean, since he moved down to the field, it's been a noticeable change for the most part. And, I get some of the comments in there. I mean, a very bad Nevada team has high expectations. Stop the BS isn't a good win for this fan base. Stop sugarcoating it. We can see right there. I don't know how I'm sugarcoating it. I said the offense didn't play great. It was an ugly win, but I said a win's a win. I mean, I think both can be true. I'm not sure what you're wanting me to come on here and say, that Nate Potter needs to be fired or Maddox Madsen needs to be benched. Maddox Madsen's banged up and battling through some stuff that a lot of fans don't know about. And Spencer Danielson said that in his post-game interview. We're not really supposed to report on injuries and things like that, so there's not a whole lot I can say, and I'm not trying to be coy, but Spencer Danielson said he's not at 100%. So those of you that want to rip on Maddox Madsen, he's battling through whatever he's battling through, and folks wanting Cutforth to start or be playing, I don't think it's that bad. It's not like he's limping out there and can't play. He's just not at 100% right now and is giving it what he can to play. So maybe that's worth asking next week. but he's healthy enough to play. He's the best option. He needs to be out there. And did he have his best game? No. He didn't. He missed some throws. He had a couple guys wide open. He didn't see him, and he went to tuck the ball and run. He had one where he had, easy pass to Louder, but he tried to throw it deeper to Chris Marshall. I think that he didn't play great. The offense, obviously only scoring 21 points, not great against statistically one of the worst defenses out there. So it was not a great offensive game, but the defense stepped up, 5 takeaways. And again, later in the season, when you're battling for a playoff spot, no one's going to look back. The committee's not going to go, oh, they only beat Nevada in week 7, 21-3. Nobody cares. 24-3. Nobody cares. So if you want to say I'm sugarcoating it or it wasn't a big enough win for the fan base and we're going to call for people's heads and all that, sorry. It's just the reality of it. You don't need style points at this point. Winning, by 1 point or 20 points really doesn't matter. And you won by 21. You did exactly what you were supposed to do. So is 24-3 any different than whatever it would be, 45-24 or whatever the score would be, 21 if you had scored more points offensively but given up more? I don't think so. So I just I get it. Folks want to come on here and be negative and say that I'm sugarcoating it and I'm being all super positive. I'm not. It wasn't great. It wasn't great in certain areas. The offense certainly has to improve, but I've seen this offense be a lot better. So I think certainly offensively, this is something where we've seen them, at better times. We've seen them certainly find ways to score points and move the ball. And I think that tonight wasn't one of those nights, but the defense did step up and play great. And why can't you be excited for the defense? Offenses don't score 50 points every game. It was not a good game, and I'm not excusing it, but just sometimes games like this happen. And luckily for the defense, they stepped up and had the 5 picks. Luckily, the punt was muffed, and they got the ball there at the goal line. Luckily, Nevada is dumb enough to try a fake field goal on 4th and 17, and Boise State was able to win the game. So if I'm sugarcoating it or whatever, that's great. But I overall, Boise State did what they needed to do. They won the game by 21 points. They're moving on. They're undefeated in Mountain West play. And I think certainly it was a game that you just say it's over. You watch a tape, you improve from it, and you move on. So with that said, there are a lot of other areas to look at. And the cleaning crew looks like they might be trying to kick me out. I don't know about that. We'll have to wait and see if they come back in or not. It was an interesting game. There was some weird stuff that happened. The punt down there at the end that they muffed at the 5. I have no idea why they were going for it on 4th and 17. They were going to go for it on another fake field goal earlier in the game until Boise State called timeout. They had actually snapped the ball. There was some weird stuff that happened tonight. Boise State getting inside the 5-yard line 8 times, and Sire Gaines, I think Sire Gaines had either 5 carries for 3 yards or 7 carries for 3 yards or something inside the 5-yard line. I mean, certainly that, was something you wouldn't have expected. I mean, I'll take Sire Gaines inside the 5, getting 3 chances to score pretty much any day of the week. And for whatever reason tonight, he couldn't get in. He said in the postgame he takes that on himself, and he's going to, be better next time. But they did enough to win. People are talking about the rankings. I don't think this is true. They're not going to drop in the rankings. I think you guys are putting way too much stock in the offense only scoring 24 points. I mean, first of all, not a lot of voters watch this game, and they're not going to look at that and go, oh, they only beat Nevada 24-3. We better move them down in the rankings. I'm a little surprised to come on here, frankly, and see some of these comments, because I thought people would be in a little bit better mood about this game tonight. So certainly, it's a game that Boise State won. They move on. Going to have to make some improvements for Fresno, but I think in the end, he says just how it's looked, not the score. That's fine. But again, every game is not perfect. I mean, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but go back and find a game from last year where they had, barely won the game and it wasn't that impressive. Go back and find, other games in recent years. Like, there's usually a game or two every year where it's not always perfect, and you have to find a way to win ugly and move on to the next game. And they found a way to. I mean, would you rather be talking about a 24-3 win right now or a 27-24 loss? I mean, you look at some of the games last year, at UNLV 29-24. The Nevada game last year was 28-21. They went at Wyoming last year and only won 17-13. I mean, I don't remember the postgame show after that game, but at Wyoming, 17-13 win last year. Was that were people saying that wasn't good enough, and that's certainly something where it looked bad and they're going to drop in the rankings and all that? No, you said we escaped Laramie with a win and we move on to the next week. So every year you have games where you don't blow the other team out, where you don't play your best, and I think that this is one of those games. So they didn't have a huge crowd, but those that were here made some noise. They honored the 2010 team. I'm not sure if Colin Kaepernick actually came back or not, by the way. I don't know if he was actually here or not. I don't know if they showed him on TV or not. I'd heard he was coming, but I didn't actually see him. So I don't know about that. This is funny. It's funny. I just didn't expect some of these people that final score matters for Group of Five. It's just the way it is. There's good wins and bad ones. Sure, a win is a win, but we're Boise State. If the expectations are so high that a 24-3 win on a Friday night, is your weekend ruined because you're not happy tomorrow and Sunday watching football because Boise State only won by 21 points? That surprises me. You got the win. Crack open a Sun Cruiser or a drink, a beer of some sort. Have a good rest of your weekend. You can prop your feet up and watch other teams battle it out and lose tomorrow. And I just don't see any reason to be that upset about this game. The offense didn't play great. Yes, they had problems, but guess what? They found a way to win. They found a way to score 24 points. They did enough, and they move on. I can promise you nobody on the playoff committee or nobody that does the rankings is going to say, oh, my gosh, Boise State only won 24-3 in week 6. We can't put them in the playoff. We got to move them down. We got to do that. So I would just take a deep breath, enjoy it. I think they're trying to kick me out here, so I'm going to get back and get some work done. We got a couple videos to put up on YouTube. We obviously have the, post-game stories and comments, so we got a lot of post-game coverage to get to, and it's almost 1 a.m. in the morning back in Boise. We're at 90 minutes on this show, so I think we're going to get ready to wrap this up pretty soon. But my final thoughts would be Boise State, big win. Any win's a big win, a good win at this point. Move on. You're undefeated in conference play. You're in line to host the championship game. And whether it was the prettiest win they've had, in the history of this program, no. But coming down to Reno on a Friday night, crazy things happen. You found a way to win the game by 21 points, which was the spread you were supposed to win by. And you didn't play great offensively. You still scored 24 points. You still won by 3 touchdowns, and you move on and get better for next week. So Boise State now 6-2, bowl eligible for the 28th consecutive season. They remain undefeated in Mountain West play, remain in control of their own destiny in the Mountain West race. And if some crazy things happen, who knows about what could happen with the playoff as well. So appreciate everybody for checking us out. Go subscribe, $7 a month at BroncoNationNews.com. We're going to have all kinds of post-game coverage and content from the game tonight. $7 gets you a subscription at the 24/7 Sports website. All their great recruiting coverage and everything. You can do that at BroncoNationNews.com. Special shout out to RowPaint.com, our title sponsor. Check out RowPaint.com for all your painting needs. Idaho Central Credit Union, we appreciate them as well. Taco Bell, TacoBellWorks.com. Jacksons, you can get those trading cards, that 99-cent coffee anytime, day or night. Snake River Pool and Spa, Patio and Game online at thespateam.com. The Blue and Orange Store, get all your Boise State gear at theblueandorangestore.com. Lithia Ford of Boise, but never a better time to buy a newer pre-owned vehicle. Lithia Ford Boise.com. Bauscher Real Estate, BauscherRealEstate.com. We appreciate Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. Ridley's Family Markets, ShopRidleys.com. Transportation Compliance Service, TransCompService.com. And, of course, Signature Roofing, online at MySignatureRoofing.com. We'll take those voicemails, and we'll give away our $500 gift card to Shields on the Monday morning Signature Roofing giveaway on Monday's show at 9 a.m. There from Signature Roofing. So appreciate you guys for checking us out. Thanks so much for following us. And again, wasn't great, but you got the win. You're moving on. You're 6-2. You're 4-0 in league play, and a lot of your goals are still attainable. So thanks. Go subscribe. Read all of our coverage at BroncoNationNews.com. Watch the full videos on YouTube when they get posted a little bit later. And we'll talk to you guys Monday morning. But first, we'll see you in the message boards. We'll see you on the website. We'll see you, hopefully, subscribe at Bronco Nation News and online at BroncoNationNews.com. BroncoNationNews.com. Take care, everybody, and have a great rest of your weekend. Signing off from Reno, Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com.
And final blade of grass. Done. And done. Who knew it'd take 2,007 man-hours to paint 47,962,053 blades of grass? Smells like game day. Whoa, it's not dry yet.